It's the second of the month. Your paycheck just landed. For about 48 hours, you feel something like safety. Then rent leaves, then the car, then the card, the phone, the subscription you forgot you were paying for. By the time you check again, it's the 24th, and the number on the screen is smaller than it has any right to be. You didn't waste it. You barely touched it. So where did it go? You already know the story you're supposed to tell yourself here. You're bad with money. You should have budgeted. You bought the coffee, the takeout, the thing you didn't need. And so you tighten up. You feel a little ashamed. You promise next month will be different. It won't be. Not because you're weak, because the thing draining your account was never really the coffee. To see it, you have to stop looking at your spending and start looking at the machine your spending happens inside. Because your paycheck isn't disappearing by accident. It's disappearing by design. And once you can see the design, you can never unsee it. Start with the simplest villain. The one nobody points at because it doesn't have a face. Inflation. Every year, quietly, the money in your account is worth a little less than it was the year before. Not because the number changed, the number sits there, exactly the same. What changes is what that number can buy. $1 today buys less bread, less rent, less gas than $1 did a decade ago. You are being charged a fee you never agreed to on every dollar you hold, just for holding it. And the fee is invisible. There is no line item, no statement, no moment where the money leaves. It simply becomes worth less while it sits in your hand. Think of it like a bucket with a pinhole in the bottom. Fill it once and glance at it, and it looks full. Come back later, and there's less. And you never saw a single drop fall. That's your money. Every year you hold it. The hole is small. The hole never closes. And you are refilling that bucket with hours of your life. Over 1 year, you barely feel it. Over 10, it's brutal. The exact same salary that felt like breathing room a few years ago now runs out a week early, and you swear you didn't change anything. You didn't. The ground did. But inflation is the slow bleed. The real damage is somewhere bigger. Somewhere you send more of your paycheck than anywhere else. Your rent. For most of the last century, housing was supposed to cost about a quarter of what you earned. That was the rule of thumb. 1 week of work, a month, roughly, to keep a roof over your head. That rule is gone. In most places where the jobs actually are, rent now eats a third, a half, sometimes more of everything you make. The single biggest thing you buy every month has been climbing faster than your pay for decades. And here's the trap inside the trap. You can't opt out. You can skip the coffee. You can cancel the streaming. You cannot skip having somewhere to live. The one expense you have almost no power over is the one that grew the most. So the biggest hole in your paycheck is also the one you're least able to plug. That isn't an accident of your budget. That's the shape of the whole board. Now it gets more personal, because the next mechanism doesn't come from out there. It comes from inside you, and it's the one almost nobody escapes. It's called lifestyle creep. Here's how it works. You get a raise, real, earned, good news. For about a month, you feel richer, and then, slowly, without deciding to, your life expands to swallow it. A slightly nicer apartment, a slightly better car. The upgraded phone, the second subscription, the habit of not checking the price. None of it feels reckless. Each step is small. Each step is reasonable. But the sum of them is a life that costs exactly what you earn, no matter how much you earn. This is why the raise never fixes it. This is why people making twice what you make are just as broke. The lifestyle grows to meet the income, every single time, and the gap between them, the part you were supposed to keep, stays right around zero. You didn't get ahead, you just got more expensive. And the modern world is engineered to speed this up, because the next mechanism was built specifically to make the money leave without you noticing. The subscription. There was a time you bought a thing once and owned it. Now you rent everything forever, in small monthly pieces. Music, movies, software, storage, the gym you meant to quit, the app you downloaded for a free trial 11 months ago. Each one is small enough to ignore. $5, 10, 15, individually invisible, together, a second rent, and they're designed that way on purpose. Small enough that canceling feels like more effort than it's worth. Automatic, so the money leaves before you ever see it. Silent, so there's no monthly moment where you feel the sting and reconsider. The whole system is built around one goal: take the money out of your account before your brain gets a chance to object. You are not forgetting to cancel. You were never supposed to remember. So that's the drain. The slow bleed of inflation, the immovable weight of rent, the quiet swell of your own lifestyle, the silent leak of a dozen subscriptions. And under all of it, one more thing, the deepest one. The reason none of this is getting better. Your work is worth more than it used to be, and you are not being paid for it. For decades, the amount a worker produces in an hour has climbed and climbed. People get more done than their parents ever did, faster, with better tools. And for a long time, pay climbed right alongside it. If you made more, you got paid more. That was the deal. Then, somewhere a few decades back, the two lines split. Productivity kept rising. Pay flattened out. The extra value you create every hour didn't stop existing. It just stopped landing in your paycheck. It went somewhere else. Sit with that for a second. You are more productive than any generation in history, and you are running out of money before the month ends. Those two facts are not a contradiction. They are the same fact, seen from two sides. And this is the darkest part, the part almost nobody says out loud. A person living one paycheck behind is a very useful person. Someone with no cushion can't say no, can't wait for a better offer, can't take the risk, quit the job, demand the raise, walk away. Fear is a leash, and an empty account is how you hold it. A workforce that is always slightly behind is a workforce that always shows up. None of this requires a villain in a room deciding to trap you. There is no meeting, no signature, no one person you could point to. It's simpler and colder than that. The system runs better when you're a little desperate, so nothing in it is working very hard to set you free. The pressure keeping you here isn't cruelty. It's just the machine doing exactly what it was shaped to do. Which is why the advice you keep getting is always about you. Skip the latte, make a budget, try harder. Because if the problem is your coffee, then the solution is your discipline, and nobody has to change anything larger than you. The story that it's your fault is not a mistake. It's the most useful story in the entire machine. It keeps you looking at your own hands while everything else stays exactly the way it is. So no, you are not bad with money. You are a person of ordinary means, standing inside a structure that is quietly designed to keep the ordinary from ever getting ahead. Inflation taxing every dollar you hold. Rent taking the biggest cut and giving you no way to refuse. A lifestyle built to grow into any raise. Subscriptions engineered to leave before you notice. And wages that stopped following the work a long time ago. 5 forces, none of them your coffee, all of them pulling in the same direction, away from you. Seeing it doesn't make it disappear. The rent is still due, the number still shrinks, but something does change, and it isn't small. For your whole life, you've been handed the wrong map, the one where you are the problem, and you've been walking in circles trying to fix a version of yourself that was never broken. When you set that map down and see the real terrain, the guilt goes quiet. And in the space where the guilt used to be, you can finally start asking better questions. Not why am I so bad at this, but who built it this way? And what would it take to stand somewhere else? It's the second of the month again. Your paycheck just landed. For about 48 hours, you feel something like safety, and then the money begins to leave the way it always does. But this time, you know where it's going. You know it was never really about the coffee. You can watch the machine work and, for the first time, not hate yourself for the way it runs. The money still disappears. That part is real. But it was never proof of anything wrong with you. It was proof of the shape of the water you've been swimming in your whole life. Finally visible, finally named. And a thing you can see is a thing you can, someday, decide to change.